Good morning, my human being friends all over the world. Glad y'all are joining me today as we continue reading through the Bible together in 2023. We resume in the second book of Kings, chapter number 3. So here we go, y'all. Now, Jeroboam the son of Ahab began to reign over Israel and Samaria the 18th year of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, and reigned 12 years. And he wrought evil in the sight of the Lord, but not like his father and like his mother, for he put away the image of Baal that his father had made. Nevertheless, he cleaved unto the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, which made Israel to sin. He departed not therefrom. And Mesha, king of Moab, was a sheep master, and rendered unto the king of Israel 100,000 lambs and 100,000 rams with the wool. But it came to pass, when Ahab was dead, that the king of Moab rebelled against the king of Israel. And King Jehoram went out of Samaria the same time and numbered all Israel. And he went and sent to Jehoshaphat the king of Judah, saying, The king of Moab hath rebelled against me. Wilt thou go with me again against Moab to battle? And he said, I will go up. I am as thou art, my people as thy people, and my horses as thy horses. And he said, Which way shall we go up? And he answered, The way through the wilderness of Edom. So the king of Israel went, and the king of Judah, and the king of Edom. And they fetched a compass of 7 days' journey, and there was no water for the host and for the cattle that followed them. And the king of Israel said, Alas, that the Lord hath called these 3 kings together to deliver them into the hand of Moab. But Jehoshaphat said, Is there not here a prophet of the Lord, that we may inquire of the Lord by him? And one of the king of Israel's servants answered and said, Here is Elisha, the son of Shaphat, which poured water on the hands of Elijah. And Jehoshaphat said, The word of the Lord is with him. So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat and the king of Edom went down to him. And Elisha said unto the king of Israel, What have I to do with thee? Get thee to the prophets of thy father and to the prophets of thy mother. And the king of Israel said unto him, Nay, for the Lord hath called these 3 kings together to deliver them into the hand of Moab. And Elisha said, As the Lord of hosts liveth, before whom I stand, surely, were it not that I regard the presence of Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, I would not look toward thee nor see thee. But bring me a minstrel. And it came to pass, when the minstrel played, that the hand of the Lord came upon him. And he said, Thus saith the Lord, Make this valley full of ditches. For thus saith the Lord, Ye shall not see wind, neither shall ye see rain, yet that valley shall be filled with water, that ye may drink, both ye and your cattle and your beasts. And this is but a light thing in the sight of the Lord. He will deliver the Moabites also into your hand. And ye shall smite every fenced city, and every choice city, and shall fell every good tree, and stop all wells of water, and mar every good piece of land with stones. And it came to pass in the morning, when the meat offering was offered, that behold, there came water by the way of Edom, and the country was filled with water. And when all the Moabites heard that the kings were come up to fight against them, they gathered all that they were able to put on armor, and upward, and stood in the border. And they rose up early in the morning, and the sun shone upon the water, and the Moabites saw the water on the other side as red as blood. And they said, This is blood. The kings are surely slain, and they have smitten one another. Now therefore Moab to the spoil. And when they had come to the camp of Israel, the Israelites rose up and smote the Moabites, so that they fled before them. But they went forward, smiting the Moabites, even in their country. And they beat down the cities, and on every good piece of land cast every man his stone, and filled it. And they stopped all the wells of water, and felled all the good trees. Only in Ker Haraseth left they the stones thereof, howbeit the slingers went about it and smote it. And when the king of Moab saw that the battle was too sore for him, he took with him 700 men that drew swords, to break through even unto the king of Edom, but they could not. Then he took his eldest son, that should have reigned in his stead, and offered him for a burnt offering upon the wall. And there was great indignation against Israel, and they departed from him, and returned to their own land. 2 Kings chapter number 4. Now there cried a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets of Elisha, saying, Thou servant, my husband is dead, and thou knowest that thy servant did fear the Lord, and the creditor is come to take unto him my 2 sons to be bondmen. And Elisha said unto her, What shall I do for thee? Tell me, what hast thou in the house? And she said, Thy handmaid hath not anything in the house, save a pot of oil. And I'm going to get in your face. Not intentionally. I was stretching my back, and I just happened to get close to you in the process of doing that. Then he said, Go, borrow the vessels abroad of all thy neighbors, even empty vessels, borrow not a few. And when thou art come in, thou shalt shut the door upon thee and upon thy sons, and shalt pour out into all those vessels, and thou shalt set aside that which is full. So she went from him, and shut the door upon her and upon her sons, who brought the vessels to her, and she poured out. And it came to pass, when the vessels were full, that she said unto her son, Bring me yet a vessel. And he said unto her, There is not a vessel more. And the oil stayed. Then she came and told the man of God, and he said, Go, sell the oil, and pay thy debt, and live thou and thy children of the rest. And it fell on a day that Elisha passed to Shunem, when there was a great woman, and she constrained him to eat bread. And so it was, that as oft as he passed by, he turned in thither to eat bread. I still like that word, thither, and hither. And she came unto her husband. Behold, now I perceive that this is a holy man of God, which passeth by us continually. Let us make a little chamber, I pray thee, on the wall, and let us set for him there a bed, and a table, and a stool, and a candlestick. And it shall be, when he cometh to us, that he shall turn in thither. It makes my tongue happy to say the word thither. And Kitty Callie is in the living room running circles. She must be feeling spry this morning, acting like a goofy cat in there. And it fell on a day that he came thither, and he turned into the chamber and lay there. And he said to Gehazi, his servant, Call this Shunammite. And when he had called her, she stood before him. And he said unto him, Say now unto her, Behold, thou hast been careful for us with all this care. What is to be done for thee? Wouldest thou be spoken for to the king, or to the captain of the host? And she answered, I dwell among mine own people. And he said, What then is to be done for her? And Gehazi answered, Verily, she hath no child, and her husband is old. And he said, Call her. And when he had called her, she stood in the door. And he said, About this season, according to the time of life, thou shalt embrace a son. And she said, Nay, my Lord, thou man of God, do not lie unto thy handmaid. And the woman conceived, and bare a son at that season that Elisha had said unto her, according to the time of life. And when the child was grown, it fell on a day that he went out to his father to the reapers. And he said unto his father, My head, my head. And he said to a lad, Carry him to his mother. And when he had taken him and brought him to his mother, he sat on her knees till noon, and then died. And she went up and laid on him on the bed of the man. Let me start that verse over. And she went up and laid him on the bed of the man of God, and shut the door upon him, and went out. And she called unto her husband, and said, Send me, I pray thee, one of the young men, and one of the asses, that I may run to the man of God, and come again. And he said, Wherefore wilt thou go to him today? It is neither new moon nor Sabbath. And she said, It shall be well. Then she saddled an ass, and said to her servant, Drive, and go forward. Slack not thy riding for me, except I bid thee. So she went and came to the man of God to Mount Carmel, and it came to pass, when the man of God saw her afar off, that he said to Gehazi his servant, Behold, yonder is that Shunammite. Now run, I pray thee, to meet her, and say unto her, Is it well with thee? Is it well with thy husband? And is it well with the child? And she answered, It is well. Y'all remember that song, It Is Well With My Soul? That kind of reminds me of the Shunammite woman. anyway, as Paul Horry would say, and now the rest of the story. And when she came to the man of God to the hill, she caught him by the feet. But Gehazi came near to thrust her away, and the man of God said, Let her alone, for her soul is vexed within her, and the Lord hath hid it from me, and hath not told me. Then she said, Did I desire a son of my Lord? Did I not say, Do not deceive me? Then he said to Gehazi, Gird up thy loins, and take my staff in thine hand, and go thy way. If thou meet any man, salute him not, and if any salute thee, answer him not again, and lay my staff upon the face of the child. And the mother of the child said, As the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. And he arose and followed her. And Gehazi passed on before them, and laid the staff upon the face of the child, but there was neither voice nor hearing. Wherefore he went again to meet him, and told him, saying, The child is not awake. And when Elisha, I need to pronunciate and differentiate better between Elisha and Elijah, because they're both involved in 2 Kings here. And when Elisha was come into the house, behold, the child was dead and laid upon his bed. And he went in therefore and shut the door upon them twain, and prayed unto the Lord. And he went up and lay upon the child, and put his mouth upon his mouth, and his eyes upon his eyes, and his hands upon his hands. And he stretched himself upon the child, and the flesh of the child waxed warm. Then he returned and walked in the house to and fro, and went up and stretched himself upon him. And the child sneezed 7 times, and the child opened his eyes. That Shunammite woman had faith before she went after Elisha, after her son had died. And he called Gehazi and said, Call this Shunammite. So he called her, and when she was come in unto him, he said, Take up thy son. Then she went in and fell at his feet, and bowed herself to the ground, and took up her son, and went out. And Elisha came again to Gilgal, and there was a dearth in the land, and the sons of the prophets were sitting before him. And he said unto his servant, Set on the great pot, and seeth pottage for the sons of the prophets. Talking about sitting on the great pot, well, never mind, we won't go there. And one went out into the field to gather herbs, and found a wild vine, and gathered thereof wild gourds, his lapful, and came and shred them into the pot of pottage, for they knew them not. So they poured out for the men to eat. And it came to pass, as they were eating of the pottage, that they cried out and said, O thou man of God, there is death in the pot. And they could not eat thereof. Oh, excuse me, wiggling around. I'm just trying to ease the pain in my back. But he said, Then bring meal. And he cast it into the pot. And he said, Pour out for thy people, that they may eat. And there was no harm in the pot. And there came a man from Baal Shalisha, and brought the man of God bread of the first fruits, 20 loaves of barley, and full ears of corn in the husk thereof. And he said, Give unto the people, that they may eat. And his servitor said, What should I set this before 100 men? He said again, Give the people, that they may eat. For thus saith the Lord, They shall eat, and shall leave thereof. So he set it before them, and they did eat, and they left thereof, according to the word of the Lord. And I'm going to give you one more, y'all. Chapter 5 of 2 Kings. Now Naaman, captain of the host of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master, and honorable, because by him the Lord had given deliverance unto Syria. He was also a mighty man in valor, but he was a leper. And the Syrians had gone out by companies, and had brought away captive out of the land of Israel a little maid, and she waited on Naaman's wife. And she said unto her mistress, Would God, my Lord, were with the prophet that is in Samaria, for he would recover him of his leprosy. And one went in and told his Lord, saying, Thus and thus said the maid that is of the land of Israel. And the king of Syria said, Go, and I will send a letter unto the king of Israel. And he departed, and took with him 10 talents of silver, and 6,000 pieces of gold, and 10 changes of raiment. And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, saying, Now when this letter is come unto thee, behold, I have therewith sent Naaman my servant to thee, that thou mayest recover him of his leprosy. And it came to pass, when the king of Israel had read the letter, that he rent his clothes, and said, Am I God, to kill and to make alive, that this man doth send unto me to recover a man of his leprosy? Wherefore consider, I pray you, and see how he seeketh a quarrel after me. And it was so, when Elisha the man of God had heard that the king of Israel had rent his clothes, that he sent to the king, saying, Wherefore hast thou rent thy clothes? Let him come now to me, and he shall know that there is a prophet in Israel. So Naaman came with his horses and with his chariot, and stood at the door of the house of Elisha. And Elisha sent a messenger unto him, saying, Go and wash in Jordan 7 times, and thy flesh shall come again to thee, and thou shalt be clean. But Naaman was wroth, and went away, and said, Behold, I thought, he will surely come out to me, and stand, and call on the name of the Lord his God, and strike his hand over the place, and recover the leper. Or not Abana and Pharpar, rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? May I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away in a rage. And his servants came near, and spake unto him, and said, My father, if the prophet had bid thee do some great thing, wouldst thou not have done it? How much rather then, when he saith to thee, Wash and be clean? Then went he down, and dipped himself 7 times in Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God. And his flesh came again like unto the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. And he returned to the man of God and all his company, and came and stood before him. And he said, Behold, now I know that there is no God in all the earth but in Israel. Now therefore I pray thee, take a blessing of thy servant. But he said, As the Lord liveth, before whom I stand, I will receive none. And he urged him to take it, but he refused. And Naaman said, Shall there not then, I pray thee, be given to thy servant 2 mules burden of earth? For thy servant will henceforth offer neither burnt offering nor sacrifice unto other gods, but unto the Lord. In this thing the Lord poured in thy servant, that when thy master goeth into the house of Rimmon to worship there, and he leaneth on my hand, and I bow myself in the house of Rimmon, when I bow myself down in the house of Rimmon, the Lord pardon thy servant in this thing. And he said unto him, Go in peace. So he departed from him a little way. But Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of God, said, Behold, my master hath spared Naaman this Syrian, in not receiving at his hands that which he brought. But as the Lord liveth, I will run after him and take somewhat of him. And I'm going to stop just a second there. Speaking of Syria, are y'all keeping up with the news in Syria and Golan Heights and West Bank and the Palestinians and all that mess going on, and what the nations of the world are doing and saying? Y'all, I keep saying it, and I'm more true now than I've said it before. We are knocking on the door of the rapture any moment, y'all. It is imminent. It is imminent. So Gehazi followed after Naaman, and when Naaman saw him running after him, he lighted down from the chariot to meet him and said, Is all well? And he said, All is well. My master hath sent me, saying, Behold, even now there be come to me from Mount Ephraim 2 young men of the sons of the prophets. Give them, I pray thee, a talent of silver and 2 changes of garments. And Naaman said, Be content, take 2 talents. And he urged him, and bound 2 talents of silver and 2 bags with 2 changes of garments, and laid them upon 2 of his servants, and they bare them before him. And when he came to the tower, he took them from their hand, and bestowed them in the house. And he let the men go, and they departed. But he went in and stood before his master. And Elisha said unto him, Whence comest thou, Gehazi? And he said, Thy servant went no whither. And he said unto him, Went not mine heart with thee when the man turned again from his chariot to meet thee? Is it a time to receive money, and to receive garments, and olive yards, and vineyards, and sheep, and oxen, and men servants, and maid servants? The leprosy therefore of Naaman shall cleave unto thee, and unto thy seed forever. And he went out from his presence, a leper, as white as snow. All right, we have been through the first 5 chapters of the book of 2 Kings, and y'all, we're plodding right through God's holy word, and I'm enjoying every minute of it, and I pray you are too. Hey, this is really good for me. It's wearing me out. Making a video is a chore, but I love it. I love it. And I love y'all. I appreciate y'all's comments so much. And as of about 2 or 3 o'clock this morning, I was caught up with all the comments y'all made. Whatever y'all have said since then, I have not read nor responded to, but I will do that today. Y'all just keep me overwhelmed with comments, all right? Y'all are my family. I thank God for my YouTube family every night. Y'all are the only family I got. That's it. Bam, y'all. Oh, and yesterday when I was harvesting my peppers and tomatoes and cucumbers, I had my arm full, had my arm up like that with stuff laying all in here. And one of the tomatoes fell off and rolled and rolled and rolled. And I had to get down on my knees to get it. I can't bend over that far anymore because of my back and my legs. So I knelt down on the ground, picked up the tomato, got up, came in the house, laid them out on the kitchen cabinet over yonder, and took a picture, which I shared y'all on my community page. Not a huge harvest like I had back in Texas, but it's more than I can keep up with eating. I grew the Roma tomatoes and the peppers, well, the peppers to eat and to make salsa. I make homemade salsa every year. But the Roma tomatoes are not cooperating with me. Yesterday I got maybe 10, and I need to be getting like 30 or 40 at a time in order to make salsa. So I'm just eating them. Speaking of eating, the queso dip I made yesterday, it's got Velveeta cheese, one of the big blocks of Velveeta cheese, and I guess probably a 1, maybe 2 pound tube of Jimmy Dean hot breakfast sausage that I browned and broke up in little bitty pieces. A can of Rotel tomatoes with habanero peppers in it, and then I diced up a jalapeno pepper and a serrano pepper from my garden and mixed all that together. And I took most of it over to my doctor, which is just 1 block over that way. I was in her office one day, and she and her receptionist was eating a bowl of queso with those scoop tortilla chips, and so I bought a big bag of the scoop tortilla chips and made that. I told them I make the best queso in the world, and I do. And I told her I'd bring her some of it, and so I took it over there, and I told her, I said, now don't let your doctor know you eat this kind of food. And she laughed. But I saved a little bit for me, and I ate a lot of it with some of those scoop chips yesterday. And I've got a little bit left, maybe a half of a cup of queso left. And I'm thinking about scrambling some eggs and putting that queso on top of my eggs. I never had queso on eggs before, but it just kind of sounds good. So I'm thinking about doing that as soon as I get this video uploading. And I started a story about when I dropped the tomato on the ground and stooped over or knelt down to pick it up. Y'all, I got chiggers. I hate chiggers. And usually, I walk out and do whatever I got to do and walk back in. Yesterday's the first time I was outside in several days. I don't go outside unless I got to. And I went outside yesterday, and I guess me kneeling down, they got all over me, and I hate those things. I hate them with a passion. But anyway, that's an update on my life. It's exciting, isn't it? You never know what's going to happen to this old bald-headed redneck. So I'll be eating leftover queso on my scrambled eggs and scratching sugar bites this morning. That's my plan. All right. Talk to y'all later. God bless y'all. I love y'all. I do appreciate y'all. Y'all, and if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Give me thumbs up and hit that notification bell so you'll know when I come back. And I'm going to come back more today like I did yesterday. I think I did 4 videos yesterday, 2 besides the reading through the Bible together. The Holy Spirit's given me some good stuff. I just am so busy that I don't do those videos like I used to. Those videos, what the Holy Spirit gave me was all I did. And then y'all talked me into reading the Bible through together in 2023. So that keeps me busy. And I've been slacking on sharing what me and the Holy Spirit does together each day. And the Holy Spirit gives me good stuff. So I'm going to try to start doing that again. And whenever we get the Bible read through together in 2023, which we don't have a whole lot left. There's a whole lot. We don't have a lot of books left, but we got some big books left. so it'll be a while. We will definitely finish early. Unless the rapture happens, then we'll be living with the Word, and we won't need the Word. I always used to ask God, I know we're not allowed any earthly possessions in heaven, but y'all, I got a Bible with me everywhere I go. The Bible is my favorite earthly possession. Like the old American Express commercial, don't leave home without it. I have one in my truck. It lives in my truck. I have a Bible with me everywhere I go. And I've got 2 Bible apps on my phone. But I just love holding the Bible in my hand as I read. It feels like I am grasping, holding on to God as I read His Word. And I don't want to go anywhere without it. And I don't go anywhere without it. But I don't get to take it to heaven with me. That's almost traumatic to me. I know I don't need it there, but y'all, the Bible is my security blanket. I don't go anywhere without it. Maybe God will give me a Bible up yonder, I don't know, just to make me happy. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be so happy to be there. I can't wait. But I got one heck of a big job to do while I'm left here on earth too. The world needs Jesus, y'all, more than it needs anything else. I keep telling y'all that, but goodness gracious, look at the world. It is so lost. It is so lost. And it doesn't even know, even though the word has been spread all over the world is not cognizant to the fact that there is peace, safety, and security in this book, in this word. This is not just a book. This is God's holy, living word. This is jam-packed from this cover to this cover with His promises. But the world doesn't acknowledge this book. I don't understand. I used to be just like the world. God saved me, y'all, and I could not put this book down. My family that was still left at that time made fun of me because everywhere I went, I was reading God's holy word. You know, I'd be sitting in a living room full of family members, of them all flapping their jaws and me sitting over in the corner reading the Bible. It's just like God saved me, and this became my security blanket. I could not put it down. I still have trouble putting it down. Things I need to do around here go undone because I can't put this book down. I love God's holy word. It is a living word. Y'all, besides me reading it to you, y'all need to be spending time in it on your own, just you and the Holy Spirit. Every time you pick up God's holy word, pray and ask Him, ask the Holy Spirit to be your tutor and guide you as you read it. You will see what I'm talking about. And it is awesome. That's all I need. All right, I have talked way too much here. This has turned into a combination read through the Bible together video plus a redneck rant video. So I'll put it in both playlists. I love y'all. And I'm sincere. I'm very sincere when I say that. My friends and my enemies, we are commanded to even love our enemies, and I do. I do. I don't want y'all at my house, but I love you, and I pray for you. Whenever you start seeing the light that is so bright, then you'll be welcome at my house. Talk to y'all later today. Unless we get raptured out of here, and y'all, seriously, that could happen literally before I hit the turn off button for this video. God bless you, friends.